As most of you know, Missy was a World Championship gold medalist last year at the 2011 FINA World Championships in Shanghai. She's swimming in multiple events here in Omaha, and this will be her second Olympic trials. Was one of the youngest, or if not the youngest, competitor in 2008, so a little bit of a different time 4 years later. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll ask an opening question. Please raise your hand and state your name and outlet if you can. And just a reminder, we're just going to try to focus on trials here, as that is the focus of this press conference. So Missy and Todd, I'll ask both of you the same question. Training coming into Omaha, how are things going? And what is your outlook coming back to Omaha this time around?
You know what, I can truly say that we're excited to be here. I think yesterday morning when we showed up at the airport in Denver, that I think the excitement hit all of us, and just flying in and enjoying Omaha and the atmosphere. I think having the College World Series here really adds to the buzz before our event gets going tomorrow. And I can truly say that we've done more in the water and more out of the water this year than we ever had before. So I truly feel that Missy and every one of my athletes is prepared for this.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm so excited to be here, and I feel ready. I do. I feel so prepared, and I just want to get started. I mean, I'm so excited to swim, and I can't wait to shave, first of all. I can't wait to shave, and then get in my competition suit and just go out there and race.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Gary, over there in the green shirt, has the microphone, so please raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question. We know there's questions, guys. Don't be shy. Okay, got one in the back there.
Brent Rudemeller, Swimming World. I'll just start with a fun question. Missy, do you see Todd on the side of the pool when he's jumping up and down and cheering you on? And Todd, do you really think you're getting through to her when that happens?
I absolutely see him all the time, and you definitely hear him foremost. It's awesome to know that I'm not swimming the race alone, that Todd is swimming the entire race with me no matter what race it is, and just knowing that he's there and supporting me no matter how I'm doing, it's a great feeling.
You know what, the best feeling in the world is when one of my athletes gets out. And, you know, we're very sensory deprived in the sport of swimming. You know, really you're just hearing the sound of rushing water go by your ears, and you really can see. That's about it. And, you know, it's nothing better than when an athlete gets out, Missy or any of my athletes gets out and says, I can hear you. You know, and I truly feel that, you know, I look at coaching as the more energy I expend on a practice deck or in a meet, the more my athletes are going to give me at the end of the day. And I think that's a paramount thing, especially in a workout when it's getting hard. You know, like if we want an intense set, you know, I need to crank up my intensity to kind of get the energy and excitement flowing in a workout, and I try and approach a swim meet the same way.
We have Rich over here.
Missy, Rich Kipist, Omaha World Herald. When you left here and drove home with your folks 4 years ago, can you even grasp what the next 4 years, at that time, could you even grasp what the next 4 years were going to be for you?
Absolutely not. I had no idea. I definitely knew what I wanted, and that was to be back here 4 years right now and really have a shot at making the team. And I didn't know if that was going to be possible, but the fact that it's here and it's happening, it just doesn't even feel real, and it's such a dream. But I knew that I wanted that more than anything. In these past 4 years, I've worked so hard, and all of the experiences that I've gone through, all of the meets, all of the people that I've met, everything I've learned is really, right now, it's what it comes down to. So I'm going to try and take all of that and do the best that I can here.
Alex from French sport newspaper L'Équipe. It's a question for you both. 4 years ago, Katja did a great job during the trials, and she was a little bit disappointed in Beijing. Is it a concern for you, and is it an experience that could be useful for you?
You said Katie Hoff?
Katie Hoff, yes.
You know what, I think that there's a lot of reporters out there that want to draw a lot of similarities. You know, the one thing that I know as a coach, every one of my athletes is different, and they're all wired a little different, and you got to approach each one of them differently. So, you know, at the end of the day, I don't want to compare Missy to anybody else out there. Missy is Missy, same as all my other athletes. But I definitely think that you got to learn. You know, I was just telling a reporter last week, Reporters forget people that blow up at trials sometimes. Coaches don't forget that stuff. You know, and U.S. Olympic trials, every 4 years does some really crazy things to some really good athletes. And so I think that's really been my approach to, you know, I was using the analogy in the last couple weeks as like Hoosiers. You know, when they walk into the Indiana State Championships and he measures the hoop and that's 10 feet. You know, it's the same thing here. This is a 50-meter pool. Yeah, there's probably a few more people in the stands and there's a few more lights on you. But at the end of the day, it's a 50-meter pool like we train in every single day. And that's really the confidence that you got to go in having it and enjoying yourself. And, you know, you can see that with Missy. It's truly, you got to have fun.
And I think just everything Todd said is right, but going out there and having faith and just trusting that what you're doing is right, and just knowing that I've gone through Todd's tapers before, they've always worked for me. So just having faith in it and knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and just having fun and relaxing is the most important part. But Katie still had an amazing Olympics, so, but again, learning from your experiences is always important.
Good. Karen?
Karen Kraus, New York Times. Missy, how easy is it to have fun and relax like you did 4 years ago when you are in a totally different position with all the expectations? How do you manage that so that you can still see it for what it is, just another race?
I think the expectations are definitely higher, and that does make it a little bit more difficult, but the expectations from the people who really matter most to me, my coach, my family, and my friends, are all just for me to go out there and have fun. And those are the expectations that I want to live up to, are of the people that I love and care about. And they have been so awesome with not putting any pressure on me, and just to know that they want me to have fun. They want me to smile and just go out there. And so if I do that, I know that I'll be happy and they'll be happy also.
Dan?
Hi, Missy. Dan Albano, Orange County Register. Can you update us on where you are with your college decision? I believe there's a college deadline as far as when coaches can contact you for the first time, and I think it falls during trials. And I was told by one college coach that they maybe had agreed, at least some of them or many of them, not to recruit you here while you're at trials, and maybe let that for later on at some point. But can you kind of put the time frame in there as far as if that's true, when the coaches can contact you, if it's been set up that they're going to just let you focus on trials for the most part? Thank you.
Yeah. All of the college coaches have been so nice and so respectful of the fact that this is one of the biggest meets of my career, obviously, and that they are going to respect my time and know that I'm crazy here. And they've all been so generous with, you know what, we want you to go out there, have fun, have a blast, like, we're not going to bug you. So right now for me, it's definitely just trials. That's all I'm focusing on right now. And after this, and maybe hopefully after the rest of the summer, that's when I'll really kind of buckle down and start emailing and talking on the phone and talking to the rest of the coaches and seeing what happens.
And just to follow up, can you talk about your decision on why you intend to swim in college rather than turn professional? And could something happen if you were to, swim outstanding, lights out even more at this trials, that you would change your mind?
It's definitely hard to think about it, but I think for right now, I really do want to swim in college because I love being a part of a team. It's one of the best feelings in the world for me, just knowing that I have all of these people behind me, and just, walking into a pool together and warming up together. It's awesome to know that you have so many people behind you, and so many college teams are so awesome with that, and they're so close. And a lot of my really greatest friends have gone off to college, and seeing them with their teammates is so special, just the bonds that they have formed. So that's something that I really want in my life, but for right now, that's what I want. But after the summer, we'll see what happens.
For Todd, Paul Newberry from Associated Press, just as a coach, describe the scouting report on Missy. What makes her stand apart from other swimmers?
Well, you know what? I think there's a lot of some tangible things and some intangible things. Really, I've said before, I think it's Missy's uncanny ability to, like to say, flip the switch. I think that there's a lot of athletes out there, not just in swimming, but a lot of other sports. They almost, paralysis by analysis. They almost think about it too much. I think Missy's really good at that, is that She takes one race at a time, and I think that, the way, if you look at the way a lot of Grand Prix and things, we swim more than one race in a session, so that we take one step at a time and one race at a time. But I think really that at the end of the day, that's a special skill, because I think then you're able to manage your energy. Because if you turn that switch on too early, it's going to drain your energy before you maybe even hit the pool. And so, but it's also that ability to flip that switch off. Being able to get out of a meet. I mean, I remember numerous times over the last 10 years that Missy would, go out and make her first national cut, and 2 heats later, instead of going to warm down, she's over there cheering for her teammates, which is awesome. So that's that ability to really kind of go into game mode and get out of game mode in a very good time frame, so that you don't use a lot of energy outside of the pool. But then obviously her physical stature, she's, at I think it was 11 or 12, and she had big feet. That wasn't always, she didn't always look at that as a good thing. Now I know she realizes that having big feet as a swimmer is a pretty darn good skill to have. So really just her physical stature, and then she's just a team player. You just listen to her talk about college swimming and being around a team. Missy's the first one in a workout, no matter how hard it is, to come in on a repeat and be like, hey, come on guys, let's go. And I think that that's a special skill too, when she truly understands that a rising tide rises all ships. And if she starts being successful, I mean, look at it. In 08, we had one qualifier, and that was Missy in 3 individual events. We have 5 kids representing Stars here this year. And so I just look at that progression as a club that, Missy's really kind of was that pioneer to crack that ice of getting to trials, and now it's more of a realistic goal for every kid on our team from 6 years old all the way up.
A couple for Missy. One, what's it going to be like to go against, obviously, you and Natalie? She's got some pretty big goals, and you're kind of standing in the way a little bit in some of these events. I mean, what's your thoughts about going up against her in so many kind of head-to-head showdowns?
I love racing against Natalie. She pushes me to a whole different level, and just watching her swim is so incredible. So to actually be swimming with her, it's such an honor, and I don't mean to be standing in front of her goals by any means, but we all have different goals, and I think that we both want each other to achieve those goals, and hopefully we can do that together.
Hi, Missy. I was wondering what your last few days were like back home, saying goodbye to your friends, what sort of a send-off you had, and what your emotions were like coming here.
They were awesome. I had the best last few days. I made sure to make the most of them. They were very relaxing because we were on taper, so wasn't running around a lot, but a lot of my school friends, I went over to one of my best friend's house for dinner, and a lot of my friends were there, and we just had a really relaxing, fun night together, just enjoying each other, knowing that we may not see each other for a while, just being together, and then practices, having everyone say goodbye, but just spending time with the people who I love and care about, and just taking time to kind of walk around my neighborhood and just relax and just know that everything is going to be fine, and no matter what happens, I still have all of that to come home to. Pat?
Yeah. Todd, this is Pat Forty from Yahoo Sports. I'm just curious from your standpoint, obviously Missy's been a very accomplished swimmer for a long time, but if there have been some kind of aha moments in her progression where things really came together, when maybe those were and what they were?
You know what, I mean, there's been numerous points over that time. I mean, I remember a meet in December of 2008, and actually, no, December of 2007, sorry. And she actually made it was an in-state meet as the University of Denver, and she went out, and I believe it was the 100 free, and she went out and made her first national cut. And I didn't even realize it. And, Mom sends me a text and says, Todd, I'm pretty sure that's a national cut. And I'm like, what? And sure enough, I pull out my time standards. Yeah, that's a national cut, and the meet's like 2 weeks later. All right, and so then the next day she goes out and makes the 50 free national cut. And so then, Mom's question is, are we going to the meet? And I was like, no, we're not going to the meet. It's November. It's 2 weeks from now. And, that was one of those aha moments that she could show up to a meet in November and really probably not even be in full shape. And then, it goes to this year. We got back from Worlds, traveling halfway across the world, came back and swam nationals in Palo Alto. And then I was set on her taking 2 weeks off. She went to Hawaii for a week and then just had a week before school started. You know, we didn't come back until after Labor Day, just knowing that we were going to crank it up after that. So I very distinctly remember about 6 weeks into training in October, we were taking a trip with the youth team to the World Cup meets in Berlin and Moscow. And I remember for the entire week before we left, not kidding you, at least 3 or 4 times a workout, Missy told me how she was not in shape and we should not be going to these 2 meets. And I'm like, hey, that's fine. You know, it's October. We're just going there for racing experience against top-level competition. You know, the morning in Moscow, after traveling halfway across the world, she goes in the water and goes 2:03, which is almost the time she went the winter before in Dubai to win a silver medal in the 200 short course meter back. You know, and I remember Jack Roach, the national youth team director, turning to me and going, hey, Todd, do you think she can go 200 tonight? I said, after I just watched that race, yeah, I do. You know what? That night, for whatever reason, Missy went out there and tried her hardest. She went 2:03 again. And that's a perfect example. You never know when your best race is going to happen. So, you know, so she went out there and tried her hardest and tried harder and went the same time. And so 4 days later in Berlin, we kind of approached it a little differently. I mean, that night she had the 200 free, had a great swim. I mean, her best time. We had a few mistakes, you know, in October. That's what happens. We had a few kind of like, oops, hey, we shouldn't probably done that. We should have done this. You know, but then 20 minutes later, she had to hop in for that 200 back, and she hopped out of the 200 free warm down, and I looked at her and I said, well, did you leave that pool, and did you leave that 200 free race in the warm down pool? And she looked at me, and it's just the typical Missy. She goes, always. Okay, sorry. You know, okay, let's go out and let's work on our walls, let's attack our turns, and that was really, those are the 2 things I said to her. And she goes out and, you know, I mean, I remember at the 150 turn, I believe she was over a half a second off that world record. But I know, and a lot of you guys are figuring out, that Missy's pretty good on her back half, and you know, comes off that last turn and just explodes. And you know, I've seen the replay a bunch of times now, but I can still remember standing on the side of the pool deck and having her touch the wall. And in Berlin, they're awesome about, I mean, right away, it's like, boom, world record, WR next to it. And I just remember that her look on her face, looking at the board, and then turning and looking where all of us coaches were standing. And it was just, so I really would say that's probably the most aha moment that, like, all right, we're on the right path, and she's got what it takes.
Yes. Hi, Eric van Dijk from Dutch National Television. Missy, you've been racing since you were a child.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're on the doorstep of the Olympics. What does it mean for you, and are you ready for those Olympic spotlights?
It means the world to me, and every time I swim, I make sure that I'm remembering that little 5-year-old on her summer club swim team that just loved going out there and being with her friends and playing cards in the tents before we swam. And I'm swimming for that girl. I'm swimming for the one who just loves swimming with her whole heart. And for the Olympic spotlight, I'm really not thinking about it right now. I'm honestly just thinking about trials. That's all that matters, just taking it one day at a time, one meet at a time, one race at a time.
Missy, arcobellist La Gazzetta dello Sport Italy. What do you think about 200 freestyle against Federica Pellegrini, Camille Muffat, Alison Smith? Is the race most difficult for you?
I think so. I think there's so much talent in the freestyle field right now. It's absolutely unbelievable. But that's what makes it fun, is when there's so many amazing competitors who can really just get out there and you can race with and just push yourself and you can push them. And that's what makes it so exciting, is really like pushing yourself beyond levels that you thought you were capable of. And with all of those amazing people, you're able to do that. So hopefully I get the chance to be able to race against them, but we'll see.
Joanne?
Yeah, Joanne Barnes, Detroit Free Press. Todd, when Missy opened, you had a lot of enthusiasm talking about can't wait to shave and the tapering and so forth. Can you just talk about sort of that whole taper phase, the psychological, or do you treat it almost like scientific in getting her ready to race?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Really, taper is individual. You know, every athlete, like I said, is gonna react differently to different things. But you know, like Missy said, really it comes down to that mental aspect and having a swimmer believe in the work that they've done. Taper's not magic. A lot of swimmers and a lot of people kind of outside of this sport think that there's this magic pill or something. that's the best thing. If you walked on the pool deck right now and asked 50 different coaches, they would tell you 50 different answers for what they're doing for taper, because that's their evolution. I mean, it's an ever-evolving thing. And I think, like Missy said, her having the confidence that she swam fast on every rest that we've had since she's really been at the elite level for the last 5 years, that gives me a tremendous amount of confidence too. But also, my being on the U.S. staff last year at Worlds and being able to go to training camp and seeing how she deals with things. How does she deal with the media? How does she deal with being in a hotel room? And so I'm able to adjust those things, and so that this year it truly sets us up more for success, because we can make those adjustments maybe before they're thrown at us, because we already know that you're going to come.
With Bill? With Dan and then Bill.
Hey, Missy, to follow up something your coach was talking about, what was your your moment that you felt you broke through and you started to really feel confident that, hey, I've arrived, I'm ready to, take on all comers? What was your breakthrough?
Honestly, I think that world record was one of my big aha moments, because what he said was spot on. The whole few weeks before the trip, I was so nervous because we had just taken 2 weeks off. I absolutely hate taking time off. I hate being out of shape. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I'm not going to do well. I'm out of shape. And I work out at Stedman Hawkins, and there's a whole bunch of different athletes there, and there's a football player there. And I was talking to my coach about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And this football player looks over at me, and he goes, swimming is what you do. You're not going to forget how to do it. Just go out there and do it. And I was like, okay, I will. So once I got there and realized and got a world record after 6 weeks of training, I was so in shock. I mean, obviously from the facials, I have never been more surprised in my life. But so that was kind of one of the big moments that you never know when that time is going to happen, and you have to believe in yourself and know that anything can happen. Bill?
Bill Shakin from the LA Times. Missy, you and your coach have talked a lot about getting you ready in the pool. Mm-hmm. What have you done, and Todd, what have you done to help over the past year to help with the flood of attention you're about to receive out of the pool, and are you looking forward to it?
I guess I'll start. I mean, really at the end of the day, Missy just finished her junior year in high school. And so any of us that can remember back to our junior year in high school, it's a pretty important year. Missy probably had her toughest course load ever this year, which is very contrary to a lot of elite athletes at her level going into an Olympic trials. But I think there was a conscious decision on her parents and my part to really try and maintain that normalcy of at the end of the day, she's a 17-year-old kid. We can take second semester off or whatever it may be. But then, in January, what is she thinking about? Olympic trials that are 6 months away. Goes back to that paralysis by analysis. I think, she will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think probably until about the last 4 weeks when she finally got done with her last final of high school, that's when she really truly started thinking about trials. Not that she didn't think about it all the way along, because of course we had a meeting in September and I said, hey, here's the event schedule, here's what you have cuts in. I want you to just kind of look at this every couple weeks, and so that you have some thoughts in your mind, I have some thoughts in my mind, so that when we get down to it, we can make some educated decisions. But, so I really think that kind of that normalcy of, and really at the end of the day, media, Missy doesn't deal with the media, her mom and I, really, and Karen and Matt at the USA Swimming staff, we try and do our best job to kind of filter through those, because, Missy is not a professional athlete. She doesn't have an agent. So we all kind of took that ad hoc role to try and make sure that at the end of the day, Missy wasn't doing 5 interviews in a night and not being able to get her homework done or whatever it may be. So,
yeah, I think just the support that I've been able to have with all of the media and everything that's going on is so special. And I do have to disagree with the fact that I don't have an agent. My mom is definitely my agent and my manager and everything else. But I'm trying to have fun with it too. I think it's so exciting. I mean, I got to do Vogue. That's so cool. I mean, it's so awesome. And to go out there and fly to Florida and do this photo shoot, I think it's so incredible. And so just having these experiences and being able to get these opportunities so young, still trying to have fun with it and have a blast. No, it's an honor for people to want to talk to me.
We have time for 2 more questions. Go, Paul.
Missy, a lot of things are, obviously you enjoy life and never seem too upset about anything. Is there anything that makes you mad or you don't like?
Homework is not my favorite, or big tests. School can definitely stress me out a lot, but thankfully that's over right now, so I'm just enjoying summertime, and I'm actually so unbelievably excited for my senior year, so.
Rowdy Gaines, NBC. Todd, and this is a question you could answer too, Miss, if you want to, but I know you guys have a pretty tough double on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Is there a change in strategy now versus what you've done all along in the Grand Prix? You've talked about her coming back from the 200 free and breaking the world record in the 200 back. The Grand Prix, she's been doing it all year. Is there any change between you have that 20 or 30 minutes?
No, you know what? It truly, honestly, I think because 2 years ago we could see this. You know, and I mean, you know, I just mentioned it to Missy, like, hey, trial schedule came out. It's going to follow the Olympic schedule. The reality is, if we want to swim these events, there's going to be a couple doubles in there that are going to be pretty rough. So just educating her that, hey, we're going to do this at Grand Prix all the way through the next couple years so that we're prepared for this. You know, and in the Austin Elite Invite in the beginning of June, we did a couple things. She actually swam the 2 free into the 2 back, which it was awesome because that was even better. Those are both more stressful races than the 2 free 100 back that she's got to do on Wednesday. So in having that 2 free 2 back, you know, and I looked at her that night and I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend this is Olympic trials. You're not going to get out of the pool and walk right over there. You're going to walk all the way around the pool. You're going to come over to me, just like we got to take that walk into the warm-up pool so that it's going to take us a few minutes, and then we're going to go over there and we're going to warm down for 9 minutes or however long that my watch says that we can. We're going to swim as much as possible. We're going to hop out. We're going to dry off. We're going to get into game mode for that next race, and, you know, and we're going to be in the ready room when we need to parade out. So I think that myself as a coach, I've just tried to give her ammunition, and so to speak, that, you know what, this is possible and it's not a big deal. We've done it all the way along. I mean, a lot of times last year and this year, we'd swim 3 events in a Grand Prix at night and you know, and have an hour in total, those 3 events. And so, though all those things, I tell my swimmers all the time, those are the deposits into that mental toughness bank. And when you go to Olympic trials or nationals or worlds or the Olympics, that's when you get to take those withdrawals. And if you haven't made those deposits all the way along, you go to make that withdrawal and they say, overdrawn, you don't got any more. And that's when you crash and burn. And so I tell my swimmers all the time, you got to make those mental toughness deposits. And guess what? It might be you have a really stressful test tomorrow morning and you got to still come in and perform and work out. That's still a mental toughness because that's just dealing with pressure and all those things. And so I think trying to teach those life lessons, you know, hey, all the things outside of the pool help us in the pool. A lot of the things in the pool help us outside of the pool also.
Okay, that will conclude our press conference. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Todd and Missy.
Thank you.